welcome to One on One. I am Cyril Stober. There are conflicting reports across board regarding the number of out-of-school children in Nigeria. Available statistics from UNICEF and national sources put the figure as anything between 17 and 20 million. An incontrovertible fact, however, is that Nigeria has a huge number of out-of-school children, an unacceptably high figure given the resources and potential of the country. Today, our program brings into focus this mass of young growing Nigerians who for one reason or another are deprived of the benefits of school. My guest is a former teacher, headmaster, education consultant, and expert in dualization of curriculum. Join me to welcome Dr. Muhammad Sani Idris, Executive Secretary and CEO of the National Commission for Almajiri and Out-of-School Children's Education. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, sir.
Let's try to put this in proper context. There is a difference, let's say, between Almajiri children and out-of-school children. It would be wrong to classify Almajiri as part of out-of-school children, or the figures are separate. So let's hear you say.
Thank you, Cyril, for having me once again in this prestigious and highly respected TV station of ours. You are right that Almajiri is quite different from out-of-school child. Almajiris are a group of young men who are aspiring to acquire the memorization of the Holy Quran. You are quite aware, sir, that Muslims are instructed and mandated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and by the doctrine of their religion that their children should be exposed to the memorization of the Holy Quran. And this is what every Muslim, prays to have. A lot of glad tidings has been attached to memorization of the Holy Quran. A lot of prophetic traditions one can cite, Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, where Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam encouraged Muslims to acquire the memorization of the Holy Quran and to send their children for the memorization of same. So every Muslim is willing to have his child, memorize Quran. But memorization of the Quran can as well be categorized into two. There is a formal Islamia school where a child undergoes, the normal Islamia curriculum, learn to speak Arabic, learn to, write in Arabic, learn to also speak some level of English. This is one aspect of it. The other aspect is the Almajiri system, where a teacher is taking custody of a number of them who also memorize Quran in an informal way. Those Almajiris estimated to be around 30 million that memorize Quran. One of the biggest mistakes committed by a lot of people is classifying them as out of school, and that has actually stigmatized them and has further driven them from accepting Western education, because they felt that for you to classify them as out of school children, you must have some feelings against the system of education. So that has actually added to their refusal to accept the Western education. So Almajiri are actually in-school students. They are in a sort of informal system of education, and their aim is only to memorize Quran. Unlike the formal Islamia school, where students are exposed to understanding, the dictates of Arabic language, the grammar, the rhetorics, the correct pronunciation and correct intonations. In Almajiri school, they are actually not exposed to Arabic. That is why an ordinary Almajiri can memorize Quran from Baqarah to Nas, from the first chapter to the last chapter, without actually knowing that this Quran is actually addressing him, is talking to him, is giving him some doctrines, is giving him some guidance, is calling him to act. So they are oblivious of the knowledge of Arabic, and as such, some people are taking advantage of them.
Okay, so it's quite easy that while they can recite the Quran, they may not really understand what's said, because they're doing this in Arabic, which they are not taught in, and they do not learn Arabic.
Yes.
On the other hand, you do have a mass of children who are out of any form of schooling whatsoever. Neither informal nor formal, and they're just on the streets.
Yes.
All right. And those are in the region of 20 million, you say?
They are said to be about 20 million. Most of the data available is actually lacking in integrity. That is why we are working assiduously to arrive at a data that is cogent and verifiable. Right. However, for now, this is the data we are using. In Nigeria, we are having up to 20 million out of school children and about 30 million Almajiri.
Okay. So if we look at this now, when you look at the spread of it, where would you say the out-of-school children phenomenon is more prevalent?
It's actually in the north. Take, for instance, in Kano, you have about 4 million students that are actually children that are thrown to the street. They are neither Almajiri and going to any form of school. So these are actually street boys. You see, you meet them in the garage, you meet them in the motor parks, you meet them everywhere. They are symbolizing, some futures of Almajiri, because they are also beggars and they are asking for alms. They are looking for sustenance, through begging. However, they are not Almajiri, because you see them, you conspicuously see them at the time when Almajiris are busy taking lessons in the Tsangaya schools. So they are out of school children. They are everywhere in all the states of the north. Unfortunately, people are sleeping over this time bomb that is ready to explode any time soon. May God forgive.
Right, but
may God forbid.
Okay, but also there are other parts of the country, surely, where there are out-of-school children as well, who, for one reason or the other, do not attend kind of formal schooling. Some just there to, they're taking into apprenticeship, but not any formal schooling system.
Yes, actually, this is the irony of the whole issue. If you look at our brothers, the Yorubas, they are said to be custodian of Western education in Africa. You can't hardly be able to enumerate the number of professors in Yoruba. Yet, you have good number of them that are out of school. One would keep, flabbergasting and be surprising forever that why should a Yoruba man who has actually benefited from education, who is seeing education all over his life and the life of his children, will allow some student to be apprenticed, to abandon schooling, despite the civilization that has come to them, prior to its advent to the north. If you go to the Igbos, you see that despite the intellectual acumen they are endowed with, Igbos can be anything good you think about. They can be excellent manufacturers. They can be, they can be excellent traders. Mention it. Yet, in Igbo land, you see a lot of them out of school. That is why the issue of this out of school syndrome is actually a Nigerian problem. It's a problem across all the 36 states. And unless it is addressed now, it is going to be a serious, problem which we are not praying to witness its explosion.
All right. So let's come back now to this question of how to address this huge mass of young people who are either out of school, who, for one reason or the other, are not benefiting from the policies that have been enunciated for education. Now, in comes the National Commission for Almajiri and Out-of-School Children's Education. One aspect you've just spoken about is that while those Almajiri are in some education some schooling system. Others are not. They're just on the streets begging. But again, you have the formal schools where some children are also not attending. Now, how do you now begin to marry these two? When you talk about reforms, at what point do you say, you have the Almajiri system here, and as you have said, a lot of them are averse to Western education. So how do you now bring both as to ensure that you begin to carry out an enrollment drive in school?
Okay, thank you very much, Cyril. I think you need to give me some time to expatiate on this, because actually this problem is multidimensional.
Right.
And I should be courageous, here, and while addressing Nigerians, to call a spade, and to also be able to say that this is something which we must get right now. And especially with the president having a common passion, a love for education. And he is always having sleepless night about the out-of-school children. At the time of the advent of Boko Haram, mayhem was unleashed on us. It started within, a size of not more than half a kilometer. And it was assumed that this was actually a fire that could be quenched within 30 minutes. But Boko Haram kept escalating until such a time when they were able to detonate bombs in Lagos, bombs in Abuja here, bombs in Plateau, bombs everywhere. Boko Haram started, taking advantage of the fact that Almajiris are oblivious of the correct exegesis of the text of the Quran that was revealed in Arabic. Almajiris are memorizers of the Holy Quran. So it becomes very easy for them to say, to know that this is a verse in the Holy Quran. But they don't know the meaning of that verse. Boko Haram took advantage of that and began to give them, interpretations that is only in concordance with their selfish desire. And that was what actually gave them the courage, believing that they die now, they are going to the paradise, they are going to the beloved garden of God, they are going to Al-Jannah. It will surprise you to hear that some of them would be saying that my brother died yesterday night, and he was chanced to have his breakfast today in Al-Jannah. And I think this is a pact I am signing with God to take my lunch in Al-Jannah together with my brother. He will take bomb, strap it in his body, and go to detonate it, believing that that is a gateway to Al-Jannah. That is a license for him to enter into Al-Jannah. It went to the extent that they actually found it easy to kill their parents, that their parents are infidel and they are not God-fearing, and therefore they don't deserve to live anymore. They slaughter them, they slaughter Muslims, they slaughter Christians, they detonate bombs in mosques, they detonate all this because someone has linguistically manipulated them and has taken advantage of their ignorance of the Arabic text and has given them the tafsir that is not in tandem with the true doctrine of Islam. This was actually what happened. And they are still unleashing mayhems on all of us. They orphaned over 50,000 just because of ignorance, just because someone has not taken time to say, those people, this type of education deserve to be under control. This type of education deserve to be guided by government. Someone who is learned in Arabic and learned in Quran should head the affairs of this type of education so that he will see the need to give them the knowledge of Arabic. And with that, they will be able to develop what I refer to as linguistic immunity against the ideologies of Boko Haram. And that most of the governments before the advent of this administration failed. As good as the intention of good luck Ebele Jonathan. He made frantic effort to revitalize the system of education. But because the advocacy was not in tandem with the psychology of the people they are talking to, And because those people were actually not allowed to appreciate the need to understand Arabic, and because Nigerians always find, interest and serious argument, why should government, make Arabic available for Nigerians? This is actually strictly a religious issue, and therefore Muslims should be allowed to handle that. And that people have failed. And because they have failed, now everybody is paying for the failure of all of us. The issue of out-of-school children, that is also another very serious. When you keep talking about out-of-school children and the need for them to be mainstream, the need for them to be brought back, I kept saying that for you to achieve success, you have to appreciate peculiarities. You have to bring education to be in concordance and in agreement with the yearning, aspiration, and the culture of the people. Short of that, people will continue to resist accepting it. Another issue is whether government at various levels are actually ready to bring back those students to school. Seriously, let me tell you that if you go to most of the states in the north, you discover a number of schools with one teacher per school. You have primary 1, primary 2, primary 3, primary 4, primary 5, primary 6 with one teacher. When this teacher is in primary 6, from primary 1 to primary 5, they are just playing. They are as good as out of school. You have, in some states, schools that are overpopulated. You have a classroom that is housing 250 students. The size of the classroom cannot accommodate, so 200 are in the classroom. The teacher will manage somewhere to have a place to stand, and about 50 will be peeping through the window. If you are talking of addressing the issue of out-of-school children, unless everybody, the federal government, the state government, and everybody, the well-to-do, the community, the NGOs, the local NGOs, unless we all agree to come to fight this ugly syndrome, we are just going to be talking rhetorically without having, without having success. So what we are trying to do now at the level of the commission is, number one, come up with a roadmap that is very clear, a roadmap that will show you the destination, a roadmap that is so transparent, a roadmap that can be owned by all Nigerians. And on this note, I want to also tell you for free that next week we are going to invite intellectuals from across the board, from all the states in the country, to converge in Kano to tell us, what do you want us to do? We want to bring alarm. How do you want us to help you? Tinubu administration is more than willing to help you. It is no longer acceptable that a child is not in school. Because when we are refusing to take them back to school, somebody is recruiting them at our disadvantage. So what do you want us to do? This all-encompassing approach of coming to write a roadmap that is owned by everybody, it will be the first step to address this problem. The second issue is the data. I should be able to, as the executive secretary of this commission, and as advised by the president, I should be able to know that child in Kontagora who is molested, that child who is actually learning. I should be able to, from my office, to know how good is he doing in the Quran, how far has he gone, where is he reaching. And I should be able to know whether he is also taking lessons in English and mathematics, because at the end, this child is a Nigerian. And we cannot continue to sacrifice the leaders of tomorrow because someone is indifferent, and not willing to accept the Western education culture. So what we are trying to do is have a data that has a lot of integrity, that is cogent and verifiable, and within the fingertips of the commission, and where we'll be able to say, this man is supposed to be here today. We should also have a very serious advocacy that will start, inshallah, from next month, so that everybody will know of the readiness of this government to bring succor to the life of these children, we are also going to engage state assemblies so that we are going to make serious laws, and we are going to have educational marshals after this agreement that we will enter and the pact we will sign with the Malams. We are going to have educational marshals that will be going around all local governments, all the 777 local governments, to ensure that no child on the street begging, no child hawking at the time when he is supposed to be in the classroom. These are actually some of the approach. We are also going to arrive at a condensed syllabus, especially for the memory of the Holy Quran. What we are trying to say is that mop out those children that are between the age of 18 to 26 who have already memorized Quran, but who doesn't know the teaching of the text of the Holy Quran. Bring them to a center, give them skills acquisition, train them so that they will be self-reliant. Give them English, give them Arabic so that they will develop linguistical immunity against Boko Haram. We want to have a country where a Boko Haram will be resisted, this time around not through kinetic approach, but because those people who are supposed to accept the ideology are now armed. They are now sophisticated as far as the understanding of the Quran is concerned. So when you have that center, you give them that training for 1 year, you can now enroll them into Nigerian universities, you can enroll them into Al-Azhar University. So what we are going to arrive at is a program that will start with Almajiri, skills acquisition, English, Arabic, memorization of the Holy Quran. After 1 year, you go to the center, you get training for 1 year, you are subjected to National Board of Arabic and Islamic Studies examination, get certificate, and go to the university. So within a period of this administration, I want to assure you that in the next 4 years, you will be having about 50,000 Almajiris who are hitherto not in concordance, not in acceptance of the Western education, are now fully back to contribute to the GDP, to the growth of the GDP of this country. On the issue of our brothers from the South, we should actually encourage the fact that they are, most of them are apprentices, some of them are at a mechanic workshop. We should encourage that. But we are also intending to have a mobile school. We will agree with their employers that give us a period of 2 hours. We have developed at the Ministry of Education, we have developed accelerated learning approach, give them 2-3 years training, and get them enrolled into junior secondary school. At the end, the ambition of this government, the ambition of Tinubu is before the end of these 4 years, at least 10,000 out of school children must be back to school. That is why we are now, experimenting the mopping out. We said that we want to mop out 10,000 out of school children in Abuja within a period of 2 months. I want to tell you that the parents are so willing that we have, within a period of 3 months, registered more than 11,000 students that are willing to join school in September.
All right. Let me ask you to pause a while there, because what you're talking about will eventually more enrollment in school and more pupils and students going back to school. Have we thought about the infrastructure to accommodate this, these numbers of children who would now have to come back to school? Because you've just said now that there are many schools around that are overcrowded. So where are these pupils going to go to further crowd the overcrowded schools?
You know, the beauty of the mandate of my commission is that we are allowed to establish schools and manage them. And with the passion Mr. President is having, for the Almajiri and out-of-school children, I want to tell you the issue of resources is not a very big issue. The President is ready to give us as much as we require to have temporary schools, to build schools. And the President is encouraging us to enter into partnership with state government, because this, as I told you, it requires a multidimensional approach. Governors actually have to be on the same page with us. That is why we are also going on advocacy to the governors to ensure that where you have schools, they should bear the name schools. Because one of the reasons, one of the factors militating against, return of children back to school is because some of our schools are no longer enticing the out-of-school children to come to school. Let me tell you, Cyril, that, you know, I'm specialist in Arabic. I went through Islamia school, and my PhD is in Arabic. But I was enticed to learn to speak English by my friends, actually, who were students in the public schools. Now, nobody is enticing anybody. The difference between those in school and out of school is actually not very much. So what we are doing at the level of the ministry and the commission is actually to talk to ourselves. That is why in the summit we are going to have in Kaduna, Sokoto, in the next 2 weeks, we are going to bring all the 19,000 commissioners of education. We are going to close the door and talk through to ourselves. We should be very frank and call a spade, that there is actually the need for us to pay back. Sometimes the governors are doing very much, but it requires, you know, the passion from the Commissioner of Education to ensure that teachers are doing their work. After that, a week after that, we are also intending to go to Imo when we secure the permission of the governor of Imo to accommodate us. We are going to meet with all the commissioners of education in the south. So we will talk to ourselves that, please, let us make our schools that are enticing out of school children, and let us leverage on the goodwill of this government to build more schools. And let me tell you something, that one of the funniest thing about education is that what you need, a teacher who is committed, who has passion for this job, and who has the fear of God. A teacher who feels that on the day of resurrection, God will resurrect him and he will give account of each and every child in his class, that God will ask him, why didn't this child understand your lesson? A teacher that is having at the back of his mind that on the day of judgment he will give account of every single minute he spent outside the classroom. When you have this type of teachers, you actually don't need classrooms.
Right.
You can teach under the shade of trees.
All right.
So the issue of infrastructure is as secondary as you never thought. What we want is this teacher. We should appeal to the teachers. We should talk to their psychology. We should try to bring them to what is called, according to KKR theory, that self-discipline. Teachers should be made to imbibe the culture of self-imposed discipline, to imbibe the culture of saying that this is the favor of God done to me. Today I can speak English. Today I am an employee of the government. I should try to give service where my service is required.
All right.
In the most efficient way.
Okay. At this point, we'll take a short break. When we return, there'll be more on addressing the out-of-school children and reforming the Almajiri system. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly.
NTA Tuesday Live, a network issue-oriented innovation talk show.
Why should we be in a difficult situation financially?
Once upon a time we were rich, but we're not a rich country anymore.
Disaster management is everybody's business.
In all these times, the organization turned to Nigeria.
We would as much want to harness the capacity that is within us so that we see how we can become self-reliant.
1 month ended and you said you are increasing warning strike by 2 months. I mean, you are incubating madness.
Even if these are officials of government who have been told to go and enforce the law and they have gone against the law itself, they must be held accountable.
One-on-One, Friday, 10:30 p.m. on NTA Network.
Right, thanks for staying with us. I'm still here with the Executive Secretary, CEO of the National Commission for Almajiri and Out-of-School Children's Education, Dr. Muhammad Sani Idris. Now, just before we took a break, you talked about the infrastructure and how you intend to solve the issue of not having everything on ground, but you also spoke of the commitment of the teachers, the teaching staff. But then, earlier on, we also outlined the fact that some schools have just one teacher for all the 6 classes. So that means is also a shortage of teachers. Now, and you can't produce a teacher of that level within just a few months. You need to. So where are you going to get these teachers from? Or you know well, is it possible that there is a huge market of teachers who are unemployed? And why are they unemployed? Are they employable? Or do they have the requisite qualification to impart knowledge?
Actually, we have a good number of graduates that are unemployed, that are waiting for the slightest opportunity to get employed. And one of the serious issues that we are mostly not getting it right is that sometimes at the level of the Ministry of Education, we also have to some discussions on the issue of qualified teachers. Sometimes, you know, someone undergoes training of 6 months and he is called a qualified teacher because he has been certified by the TRCN. Sometimes you also see that we are giving emphasis to certificates. When I was the Commissioner of Education in Yobe State, I had the course to sit with the members of the Ministry of Education. I said, look, between qualified and competent now, there is serious disparity. You have someone that is, by the standard of education, probably in Nigeria is qualified, but is not competent. And you have someone that is competent, but is called unqualified. So our ability to bridge this gap, if I should be asked to employ, I would rather employ the competent and qualify him than, you know, employ the qualified who is not competent. So what we are saying is that once you have a good approach in your quality assurance department, as a Commissioner of Education, as the Ministry of Education, you should also have within a given school a quality assurance department where all teachers will be undergoing, you know, serious weekly, monthly, and termly training. If you get the competent ones, that are as many as you cannot count, we're actually not short of manpower in Nigeria. Bring them to school if they are competent. Give them training. Let the principal, you know, be a qualified person to handle school. If you are having a principal that cannot speak English, a principal that is not, that is oblivious of the pedagogies of teaching, a principal that actually doesn't know much, that principal will not have the capacity to govern a school, let alone give training to others. So what I am saying is that we have enough teachers, we have enough people that can be employed, and we should, you know, drive a means of training those competent teachers, those competent graduates that are not necessarily qualified in the eyes of educational, you know, doctrines in Nigeria. Employ them to teach, and then try to, you know, give them through training, try to qualify them. If all of us at the local government level, at the state level, have the same passion with Mr. President, who is willing to leave no stone unturned, definitely our schools will cease to be a hub where students will just come, play, and go. Governors, local government chairmen should make it a duty to ensure that the minimum required number of teachers are employed. And that is doable. especially at this time when, you know, the income of most of our states is enhanced by the federal government. I want to use this opportunity to call on all state governments to ensure that the least we can offer as service to our citizens is to ensure that we give them quality education. Okay. We cannot have quality education without adequate manpower in our schools.
Okay. Well, you've been described as an expert in the dualization of curriculum, marrying Western curriculum and the Islamic education. Can you speak about that and how this, because well, when you start talking about it, we raise the issues we were thinking about here, matters of culture, and again, religion is also a factor in here. So let's hear you, please.
Let me tell you that actually there is a serious interplay between Quran and all the professions. And you know, this there is what we call in education cognitive domain. And we also have what is called cognitive chromosomes. These are God-given chromosomes that has the power to assimilate, that has the power to grab, that has the power to memorize. Imam Shafi'i said that the lowest cadre of human being are those who are endowed with 50 chromosomes, cognitive chromosomes. And each one has the capacity of memorizing 1,000 books. So what Imam Shafi'i was saying, ordinarily that the slowest learner is that person who has the capacity, the gigabyte, that has the capacity of memorizing 50,000 books. That was what informed our decision to try to dualize this curriculum. When I was the director of El Kenemi College of Islamic Theology, we felt that it is possible for us to give Western education to our children and as well give them Islamic education. That it is possible for us to produce students that can excellently speak Arabic, that can excellently speak English, that can as well be engineers and medical doctors. And I want to tell you that as the director of El Kenemi College, when we carefully came up with syllabus that is in concordance with the yearning and aspiration of the people of Maiduguri, Borno State, and a very inspiring curriculum is also in agreement with the policy of education in Nigeria, with the content of the curriculum provided. We saw also the need to convince them to also accept to go for the memorization of the Holy Quran. We tried that, and for the past 30 years now, in El Kenemi College, we are producing memorizers of the Holy Quran who are as well scientists. They will go to Saudi Arabia, they will participate in Quranic recitation competition, they will win the first position, they will beat all the Arab countries, they will come here, they will continue their physics, chemistry, biology, and go to read medicine. I want to tell you that one of my students emerged as the world best medical doctor and attracted a medal, gold medal by Raul Castro in Cuba. He was given a gold medal because he was the best medical candidate. That person is a memorizer of the Holy Quran. In that college, every year, we produce 250 memorizers of the Holy Quran who are as well scientists. Most of them are now in hospitals. Most of them are now engineers. I had time to ask a lot of them, what time do you get actually to revise your Quran? They said, while we are conducting surgery, it is a very beautiful opportunity for us to revise our Quran. That, as beautiful as that. So what we are trying to do now in the commission is to bring those that were supposed to be glorified Almajiris to come in their attires as medical doctors, as lawyers, and ask those madams to test them in the Quran. Ask them, quote any part of the Quran for them, and they will recite as strongly as you are praying to have your student do. And at the end, they are medical doctors. Convince them that it is possible that Nigeria, gone are the days we will be producing memorizers of the Holy Quran only when Nigerians are in shortage of medical doctors, when they are in shortage of engineers. So what we will do is when we come to terms with them, we will now sit together and develop a curriculum that will not negate the ideology of giving them a solid memorization of the Holy Quran, but will also add to it a curriculum that is appreciating, that will appreciate their contribution to the development of their fatherland. If that is achieved, I want to tell you, before the end of the 8-year tenure of this administration, Nigerians will have the cause to rejoice. Nigerians will have the opportunity to raise their head tall again in the face of other nations, that we have come of age, that we have gotten a president that has gotten it this time around right. And that is why at the commission, what we are saying and what I told my staff, that we are actually not working only as civil servants. There is a problem, and the president felt that we are the right persons to address this problem. And they said that this appointment of ours is one of the most celebrated appointments. Unless we get it right, on the day of judgment, God will resurrect us and we will give account of our failure to give the president what he is desiring to have, to give the president, the reason why he should continue to spend money.
All right. Well, since you brought up the matter of the spiritual uprightness of people who were charged with executing policies, let's go this way, for instance. You are going to integrate. You'll get the curriculum of the Western education and find a way of integrating it into the Islamic education. However, how do you intend to go about the matter of resistance? There are scholars who believe that by the time you do this, you will begin to divert attention away from what they have set out to do. As far as they are concerned, they are only after what they call religious instruction. But when you begin to introduce Western education, there are some who believe that it shouldn't be. And I'm saying this because, yes, you can have state establishments that will determine whether a teacher is qualified or competent. Do you have a body that will determine if a Malam, for instance, who has decided to turn his back on Western education, do you have anybody that can say, before you can begin to teach Islamic education or train anybody in the Quran, you must have attained XY level of competence and certification?
Yes, thank you very much. Actually, what we are trying to do, just like I said earlier, is when you are talking to a human being, you should have the ability to understand his psychology. And that is the value of getting the right person to do the right job. If you want to talk to the scholars, and they discover that you are also a memorizer of the Holy Quran, and they discover that you have also been exposed to this type of education, and they discover that while you are talking to them from the language of the Quran, they have actually no option but to surrender. Maybe 1% may continue to resist. This is one side of it. The other side is, if you want to change people, you should not actually feel that this is something you can do overnight. I told you that we are going to start now mopping out memorizers of the Holy Quran and expose them to the dualization of the curriculum. And after 1 year, examine them and send them to the university. Those people, after 4 years, they will become 20,000, they will become 50,000, they will become 1 million. They will take over all these schools. And students will begin to feel that actually this is an orthodox way of teaching Quran, which has not yielded any result. And let me tell you something. This Quran is something that actually, contrary to the belief of most of these madams who are subjecting their students to about 20 years period of memorization, that is something you can memorize within 2 years. And this is something which we have made practical, and it has happened. And should they accept to give us, to apply the method we will give them, believe you me, you don't need more than 2 years to memorize Quran. So you don't need all this time. However, for anybody, either from the north or from the south, who is willing to resist, that I will not take my child to the school, then we have to ask ourselves whether this child is his own exclusive right, or the government has also have right over this child. Whether the government will allow people to continuously be recruited by the bandits. We are today able to sleep with our 2 eyes closed. Bombs have arrived to Abuja, and everybody is scared. Because this child must be recruited either by the government to take him back to the school, or by the bandit or Boko Haram. And therefore, while we will, with all sense of modesty and humility, approach parents, guardians, and scholars, and use our God-given powers to convince them, we also have to make an enforcement. We have to. That is why we said that we are going to engage state legislatures. We are going to do serious laws. It is no longer going to be acceptable in Nigeria that someone will take his son at the age of 3 to Maiduguri, from Sokoto to Maiduguri. This is someone that doesn't know how to wash his clothes. You are taking him to someone who is not his father, doesn't take care of him. We have arrived at a very serious documentary. We are going to play it to the teachers, that even the madams are not aware that this is how bad it is. The parents are not aware that some of those students that are being sent to this country or this state for the memorization of the Holy Quran are actually now drug abusers. That someone has actually not given this child the type of protection he deserves, and that person is going to send the child back to you as a lunatic. So as government, that is why we are government. Please accept it. We will convince you. We will give you the support. We are not going to feed everybody. Parents must live up to their responsibilities. Otherwise, when my friend was saying that we should feed them the way, the government is feeding students in public school, we say that is not possible, because this is also a transborder issue. Today, if you begin to feed them all using government money, 2 days after, you begin to see trucks, 50 trucks loaded from Niger back to Nigeria. And then parents will be giving birth to children. People will increase the number of their wives. So everybody must be convinced to live up to his responsibility. All state assemblies will be enjoined to do legislative exercise that has the capacity of reducing this problem. And together, we are sure that Nigerians will be safer. Nigerians will have their numerical strength will be of benefit to all of them, and then people will have the cause to remember that one day Nigeria had a president called Bola Ahmed Tinubu who has brought Soko to all of us.
You did say that you were doing something like a pilot project in the FCT where you take on 10,000, I believe,
yes,
and going to get them out of the street. So what are the targets that you have set for yourself? If you started off with the FCT, you have 36 states to go to, and if we take the figure of 20 million that's out of school, what are the targets that you have set for yourself that within this period we should have been able to take out X, Y, Z amount? And for the other 30 million who are already in some form of schooling, that you intend to integrate Western education into the Quranic education they're receiving, what are the figures you're looking at that in this period of time would have been able to take out this number?
Actually, we are not at liberty to choose. The president has already given his word to Nigerians that before the end of this administration, 10 million Nigerians must go back to school. And that is our mandate. And we will be counted as failure if we fail to mainstream and take back 10 million. I want to tell you and tell Nigerians that we have the capacity to do that. When we continue to have the support we are requiring, if it is just 3 weeks, we were able to mop out 10,000. Believe you me, within a period of 2 months, 3 months, in Abuja here, you will be able to take up to 1 million back to school, with all the required support which the president is willing to give. So this is one. On the issue of Almajiri, what we are going to do is build some kind of structures in their own schools where their madams are residing, or there where their madam chooses, so that it will serve as a hostel for them, to give them that shelter, to give them that protection, to harness them, bringing them together.
Would you have the capacity to monitor these?
Yes, because as I told you that one of the mandate of our commission is to establish and manage. So we are going to have state chapters, we are going to have local government offices across the 36 states of the country.
And you also spoke about marshals.
Yes.
Which you have started recruiting them, or you're going to?
No, we said that we actually started with 30 staff
Yes.
we are having in the commission. We said, let us just run a pilot program and see how much could we mop out.
All right.
And it was marvelous that within a period of 3 weeks that we were able to get 11,000, and we are still counting. And before September, only God knows the amount of students who will go back to school. So what we are saying is that we have test run this program, and we are good to go. We have now understand that this is what it pays. This is the approach. This is how you talk to the parent and you get their children back to school. And sometimes, some of the parents are actually requiring for little support. That is why we are not only going to leverage on government resources. A lot of people, a lot of well-meaning Nigerians are willing to come and partner with us. And we are going to talk to every Nigerian that instead of you giving this Almajiri 5 naira as an arm, why can't you adopt one Almajiri who is close to your house and be giving him food? So we are going to have a serious involvement, an all-inclusive approach. Our target is, let us travel from here to Kano, from Abuja to Kano, without seeing a single Almajiri that is roaming our streets.
All right. Okay. So we'll have to leave this conversation at this point, much as we want to go on. But we hope we can ask you to come again sometime to avail us of how far you've gone in this project you're undertaking. But for now, we'd like to say Dr. Muhammad Sani Idris, Executive Secretary, CEO of the National Commission for Almajiri and Out-of-School Children's Education, we thank you for being on this program, and we wish you well as you go on.
Thank you for having me, Cyril. I pray that God will continue to protect this very big, citadel of message conveying called the NTA.
Right. Thank you very much. And that's our program today. We thank you for watching. Next week, we'll be back with One-on-One. I'm Cyril Stober. Bye for now.